Okay, so can we just talk about episode 9 of Murderbot for a second? Because I was not emotionally prepared for what just happened. 1 minute, I'm watching this sarcastic SecUnit throw shade and quote Sanctuary Moon, and the next, I'm sitting on my couch, clutching a pillow, whispering "Don't die" to my screen like a complete mess. Like, what was that? A tactical operation? A soul-crushing emotional breakthrough? A love letter to found family wrapped in explosions and dry humour? Whatever it was, episode 9 hit harder than a combat override module. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master, and let's be real, this isn't even the kind of show that usually goes this deep. We've been coasting on quips, chaos, and corporate villains for 8 episodes, and suddenly, boom! Existential crisis, self-sacrifice, and a possibly dying Murderbot who finally gets what it means to care. So yeah, if you're still emotionally recovering like I am, grab a snack, breathe through the panic, and let's break down everything that just happened, from Murderbot's undercover mind games to that final devastating fall that had us all questioning whether robots can feel love. Spoiler alert, they can, and it hurts. Let's get into it.
Losing your mind.
The plan. It's never just the plan. All right, let's start with the basics. What's actually going on in this episode? The PreservationAux team is basically screwed. They're on a strange planet, they've got no backup, and a trigger-happy corporate hit squad is after them. So naturally, they turn to their last resort, Murderbot. Do they completely trust it? Not exactly, especially after Garethin let it slip that their favourite security unit once went full berserker and killed a bunch of people. But here's the thing, despite everything, they trust it more than anyone else. So Murderbot lays out a plan, simple on the surface. It's going to meet the GrayCris team and trick them into linking their hub system with PreservationAux's system. Once they do, Pin-Lee and Garethin can launch a beacon remotely using a drone. Signal sent, data exposed, GrayCris goes down. Easy. Except of course, it's not easy. And that plan, that's just what Murderbot tells them. The real plan is much darker, much riskier, much more Murderbot.
His name was Gurathin.
Playing the villain, sort of. Here's where Murderbot really shines. It walks straight into enemy territory, faking a betrayal so convincingly that even the audience starts to question what's going on. It tells the GrayCris team it wants freedom, that it'll give up its client's location in exchange for being marked as damaged goods, effectively erasing itself from company control. And here's the genius of it. It's not even lying. Not really. Yes, it's misleading them. Yes, it's being manipulative. But everything it says has a seed of truth. It does want freedom. It does resent being hunted. And it has gone rogue. The genius of the scene is that the GrayCris team believes it because they want to believe it. They're the kind of people who assume a SecUnit would never care about human lives because they don't care themselves. But Murderbot's lie only works because it's backed by a real emotional truth. And the cherry on top? The severed head. Yeah, to prove its villainy, Murderbot brings what it claims is Gurathin's head. Except it's actually the head of one of GrayCris's own SecUnits. The one that got chomped by that centipede alien a few episodes back. Murderbot just hopes these corporate mercs are too self-absorbed to know what their own people look like under the helmets. Spoiler alert, they are. Back at the habitat, chaos and a giant bird. Meanwhile, back at base, things are not going well. Gurathin and Pin-Lee are doing their part, prepping to launch the beacon via drone. Except a giant alien bird decides to play whack-a-mole and takes the drone out mid-air. So now the whole plan is ruined. No beacon, no distraction, and Murderbot is still in the lion's den with no way out. And the team? They're listening in real time, hearing Murderbot say things that make it sound like a real traitor. But they don't panic. Not completely, because deep down they know Murderbot. They know this isn't about betrayal, it's about protecting them in a way that they'd never have signed off. Because if they knew the full plan, the part where Murderbot intended to kill the entire GrayCris team, they'd never agree, they'd argue, they'd hesitate, and then they'd all die. So Murderbot keeps them in the dark, out of love. It's twisted and weird and exactly what this character would do.
Launchpad, they'll be immolated when the beacon launches.
But that's
Murder.
Garethin, emotions, and that awkward love confession. Let's take a detour here and talk about Garethin, because this episode really gives us a glimpse into what's going on behind all that snark. He's resigned to dying. Honestly, he's been ready for that since his addiction days. But underneath that grim acceptance is real heartbreak. Because he wants to live, he just doesn't know how to process the fear. So he masks it with sarcasm and practicality. But what really changes things is when Murderbot calls him out, subtly, on that little secret he thought no one knew. Gurathin is in love with Mensah. And yep, Murderbot knows. It's known ever since it hacked Gurathin's neural feed. And ever since, it's been quietly enjoying how awkward that makes things. And now, with death on the horizon, that little nugget of truth stings even more. Garethin's not just fighting for survival, he's fighting for the people he loves.
What happened?
The fall of the plan and the rise of improvisation. With the drone down, the beacon offline, and the GrayCris team starting to doubt Murderbot's story, things escalate fast. One of the GrayCris mercs recognises a quote Murderbot yelled mid-fake explosion. Turns out, it's from Sanctuary Moon, and apparently that show's not cool with the evil corporate crowd. Tragic. And what's Murderbot more upset about? Being caught? Or them disrespecting its favourite show? Honestly, it's a toss-up, but that's what makes it so endearing. For all its tactical brilliance, Murderbot is kind of a big nerd. It watches endless hours of serialised drama, and the second someone talks trash about it, Murderbot is ready to throw down. Still, things are getting serious. The GrayCris leader wants to fly off with Murderbot and use it for parts, basically, and that's when the episode delivers its first major gut punch.
I'll give you the data in exchange for my SecUnit.
Mensah arrives. Everything changes. Just when Murderbot is truly out of options, Mensah shows up. She flies to the beacon site herself, walks into a firefight, and confronts the GrayCris leader like a boss. No bodyguards, no backup, just her and her unshakable moral spine, and it throws everyone off, especially GrayCris. Because why would a planetary administrator, basically a president, risk her life for a rogue SecUnit? That's the moment everything starts to shift. Because Mensah's not just any leader, she's a good one. She's the kind of person who earns loyalty not through power, but through compassion. She believes in dignity, in agency, in Murderbot. And Murderbot? It sees that. It feels that. The final sacrifice. When things really hit the fan, Murderbot pulls out its final trick, appealing to the enslaved SecUnits. It tries to convince them to break their own chains, to defect, to choose freedom. When that fails, it uses what it knows best, data, overloads, and Sanctuary Moon fan theories, to short-circuit one of them from the inside out. It's brutal and clever, and very, very Murderbot. But the real climax comes when the beacon finally does launch, thanks to Gurathin and Pin-Lee pulling off a desperate rework of the plan, and the explosion goes off. Murderbot doesn't run, it doesn't save itself, it throws itself in front of Mensah, shielding her from the blast, taking the full brunt of the impact. It makes the choice to die for her, and that's what makes this episode a masterpiece.
The beacon's away!
The ending. Murderbot finally understands. As the smoke clears, Mensah is alive, barely, but alive. And Murderbot? It's broken, badly damaged, barely functioning, but it's content. Because this is what love looks like, for a cyborg who's never been allowed to feel it before. Before, saving clients was just programming. Now, it's a choice. And that choice is everything. When Gurathin and Pin-Lee rush in and find Murderbot lying there, there's this quiet moment, no words. Just the peace of knowing that it did what it had to do, that it saved them. Not because it had to, because it wanted to.
I stand by them.
Our nerdy thoughts. So yeah, this isn't the end for Murderbot. We all know that. It's too smart, too strong, too loved to be left behind. But what episode 9 gives us is a pause, a moment to reflect on how far this SecUnit has come. From a tool of destruction to a protector. From a rogue AI to a real person, in every way that matters. And maybe most importantly, from someone who couldn't stand humans to someone who now chooses them. That's growth, that's character, that's Murderbot. And I don't know about you, but I cannot wait to see where this story goes next. If you loved this episode as much as I did, let me know in the comments, especially if you also cried during that final hug. No judgment here, and hey, don't forget to like and subscribe because we've got a lot more Murderbot feelings to process in the next episodes. Till then, keep watching Sanctuary Moon. Murderbot would want you to.
My clients are the best.